The shank sliced through the air like a whisper from hell, aimed straight for my throat. But I didn't flinch, not because I was brave, but because in that split second, I realized dying might be easier than living with the secret I'd buried for years. My attacker's eyes widened in shock as the guards tackled him mid-swing, their batons cracking against his ribs like thunder in the chow hall. But all I could think was how I'd finally said it out loud just hours before. I'm gay. And now, as the blood from a shallow cut on my arm soaked my jumpsuit, I wondered if freedom, real freedom, would ever come without a price. I never planned on spilling my guts in a place like San Quentin. Hell, I never planned on ending up here at all. My name's Samuel Hayes, 28 years old, and if you'd asked me 5 years ago where I'd be, I'd have said somewhere in the Bay Area, maybe slinging code for a tech startup or flipping burgers at In-N-Out while dreaming bigger. But life in Oakland doesn't hand out dreams. It smacks you with reality checks wrapped in barbed wire. It started with a fight. Not the one in the chow hall. That was just the cherry on top of this shit Sunday. No, the real brawl went down back in 18, in the cracked asphalt parking lot of our old family home in East Oakland. David, my big brother by 3 years, had come home from his shift at the auto shop, grease still under his nails, and caught me with my high school boyfriend, Jake, in the back of my beat-up Civic. We weren't doing much, just kissing, fumbling like idiots who thought the world wouldn't notice. But David noticed. Oh, he noticed all right. You fucking faggot, he'd roared, yanking the door open so hard the hinges screamed. Jake bolted like a deer in headlights, leaving me there, pants half-zipped, heart hammering. David didn't hit me, not then. But his words? Those were fists. He dragged me inside by the collar, shoved me in front of Mom and Dad at the dinner table, and spilled it all. Your son's a goddamn queer, and he's dragging our name through the mud. Mom's fork clattered to her plate, her rosary beads slipping from her fingers like they were trying to escape the shame. Dad just stared, his face turning the color of the overcooked meatloaf, before muttering, "We raised you better than this." Sammy, that night, the house turned into a tomb. Whispers slithered under doors, Bible verses quoted like ammunition. David, the golden boy, the one who'd played football in high school, dated the cheerleaders, and promised to make something of himself, had just lit the match. He said he was protecting the family, keeping us from becoming that kind of trash, but I knew better. It was fear. Fear of what my truth said about him, about the brother who'd shared a bunk bed with me, who taught me how to throw a curveball and sneak beers from the fridge. I ran after that, packed a duffel, and vanished into Oakland's underbelly. Jake ghosted me faster than you can say closet case, and the streets became my confessional. I fell in with the wrong crowd, petty theft at first, boosting car stereos for quick cash. Then it escalated, running product for a crew dealing out of the flats. The kind of shit that makes you look over your shoulder every shadow. One botched drop-off later, and here I was, staring down a 5-year bid for possession with intent. Nonviolent, the judge called it, like that made the cage any less real. San Quentin hit like a fever dream. The fog rolls in off the bay like it's trying to smother the place, and the cell blocks echo with coughs and curses that never quite fade. I kept my head down those first months, folding into myself like a bad origami project. Showers were a minefield, eyes averted, soap clutched like a shield. The Aryan Brotherhood types leered. The Bloods barked orders, and the quiet ones, like me, just survived. But survival in here isn't living, it's a slow bleed. It was Ramirez who cracked me open. Carlos Ramirez, a lifer doing 20 for manslaughter, road rage gone nuclear. He was built like a fridge, tattoos snaking up his neck like vines claiming a ruin. But his eyes? soft brown, like the earth after rain. We met in the yard, during rec time, when the sun fights through the marine layer and paints everything gold. I was bench-pressing regrets on the weight pile when he spotted me, nodded like we were old neighbors. "New fish?" he asked, his accent thick with East LA vibes. I grunted, not trusting words. But he kept at it, stories about his abuelita's tamales, the Dodgers games he'd never see again. One day, he caught me sketching in my notebook rough lines of the Golden Gate, a bridge I'd walked 100 times as a kid. Artist. Huh, that's rare in here. Most dudes draw dicks on the walls. I laughed. A real one, the kind that surprises you. From there, it snowballed. Late-night whispers through the bars when lights out hit, trading tales like contraband. He told me about his ex, Maria, how she'd left when the walls closed in. I told him about Jake, about David's betrayal, about the family that scattered like roaches when the light flipped on. "You ever think about owning it?" he asked one night, his voice low. "The gay thing." I froze. In here, labels are landmines. "Ain't got the luxury," I muttered. But Carlos wasn't one for bullshit. Luxury? Man, this is the one place where secrets don't matter. We're all stripped bare. Might as well fly your flag. The words stuck, festering like an untreated wound. Weeks later, in the prison library, dusty shelves of dog-eared Stephen King and outdated law books, I hit my limit. A fresh transfer. Some tweaked-out kid from Fresno started in on me during group therapy. "Heard you like dudes?" "Hayes." "That true? Bet you make a pretty bitch." The room went still. Eyes like spotlights. I could feel the old shame rising, David's voice echoing, "Faggot. Trash." But something snapped. I stood, chair scraping like a challenge. "Yeah," I said, voice steady as the bay's tide. "It's true. I'm gay. And if that bothers you, that's your problem, not mine." The kid blinked, deflated. The counselor nodded, scribbling notes. Carlos, in the corner, gave me a thumbs up that felt like absolution. Word spread like wildfire in dry grass. Whispers in the mess hall. Side eyes in the block. I braced for the shank that came 2 days later, the Aryan punk who'd overheard. Decided to clean house. Guards hauled him off. But the cut on my arm? That was a badge now. Carlos cleaned it in the infirmary line, his fingers gentle on the gauze. "Proud of you, Sammy," he murmured. And damn if that didn't hit harder than the blade. That's when the romance bloomed, quiet and fierce, like wildflowers cracking concrete. Carlos and I stole moments in the yard, hands brushing under the guise of spotting weights, eyes locking across the basketball court. One evening, as the fog lifted and the sun dipped low, painting the razor wire in hues of orange and pink, he pulled me aside behind a maintenance shed. No words at first, just his hand on my cheek, thumb tracing the scar from that fight years back. Our lips met soft, tentative, like testing if the world would shatter. It didn't. In that kiss, Oakland's ghosts faded, David's shadow dimmed. For the first time, I felt seen, not as the family disgrace, but as Samuel. Whole. But prisons aren't built for wholeness. They grind you down, one appeal denied at a time. Carlos had a parole hearing coming up, and I could see the hope flickering in him like a faulty bulb. "If I make it," he said one night, our fingers laced through the bars, "I'll wait. Outside. For you." I believed him. In here, belief was all we had. Then, 3 months into my newfound skin, the transfer bus rolled in. I was in the chow line, poking at mystery meatloaf that tasted like regret, when the doors clanged open. New fish shuffled in, chains rattling like maracas from hell. I glanced up, casual, until my spoon clattered to the tray. David. My brother David, in orange jumpsuit and cuffs, eyes hollowed out by whatever road had led him here. He looked smaller, the broad shoulders slumped, the jaw that used to clench in judgment now shadowed with stubble. Our gazes locked across the steam of the serving line, and the world narrowed to that one impossible truth. The man who'd buried me was now buried beside me. He didn't approach, not that first day. Mealtimes became minefields, my appetite curdling at the sight of him 3 tables over. Head down, picking at his food like it might bite back. Carlos noticed. "That your ghost?" he asked in the yard, nodding toward where David sat alone on the bleachers, staring at the fog bank like it held answers. "Worse," I said. "My brother." The word tasted like ash. I spilled it then, the betrayal, the outing, the way David's protection had shattered our family. Mom overdosed on pills 6 months later. Dad drank himself into an early grave. David? He joined the army right after. Shipped off to Afghanistan. Came back a hero with a Purple Heart and a chip on his shoulder the size of the Sierras. Last I'd heard, he was bouncing at some dive bar in Sacramento, married to a woman named Lisa. 2 kids on the way. How the hell did a straight arrow like him end up in Quentin? The questions gnawed. At night, in my bunk, I'd replay that parking lot scene, his rage, my terror. Was this karma? Divine justice served cold? Carlos tried to ground me. Don't let him rent space in your head. Sammy, you've come too far. But distance in prison is a joke. Blocks over or not, paths cross. It happened in the laundry room, that humid hellhole reeking of bleach and despair. I was folding sheets, mind on Carlos's hearing, 2 weeks out when David shuffled in, assigned to the same shift. The air thickened, machines humming like accusations. "Sam," he said, voice rough as gravel. First word in years, and it landed like a gut punch. I didn't look up. "Don't," he persisted, stacking towels with hands that trembled just a hair. I didn't know it'd end up like this. For either of us. Like what? Me rotting for being me? You. Whatever the fuck you did'll land here. The words slipped out sharper than intended. But screw it. This was my turf now, my truth. He flinched, but his eyes, those same blue eyes we'd inherited from Dad, held steady. Manslaughter. Bar fight gone wrong. Guy pulled a knife. I overreacted. Lisa took the kids and filed for divorce. Said I was a monster. A bitter laugh. Guess she wasn't wrong. I wanted to feel triumph. Some petty victory. But seeing him cracked, the brother who'd been my shield, now shieldless, stirred something ugly. Pity? No. Deeper. Rage. Laced with the kid version of us. Building forts in the backyard. Promising forever. Why'd you do it, David? Back then. Why out me like that? He paused. A towel half folded. I was scared. Scared you'd drag us all down. Dad was already sick. Mom praying double time. And me. Shit. Sam. I thought if I hit hard enough, it'd fix you. Make you normal. Normal. I spat the word. You destroyed us. For what? Your fragilego. The shift ended in silence. But the seed was planted. Chats turned to interrogations, stolen moments in the yard, under the guise of family visits that weren't. David spun his tale, post-army life unraveling, the bottle calling louder than duty. That night in the bar, a drunk vet mouthing off about real men and David snapping, fists flying until the guy's skull met the floor. I saw you in him, he admitted once, voice barely above the basketball thuds. The weakness I hated in myself. Wait. Himself? The word hung. Unspoken dynamite. Carlos's hearing came and went like a storm cloud. Denied. Some bullshit about insufficient remorse. He took it stoic. But I saw the fracture, nights pacing his cell, fists clenched till knuckles whitened. Our stolen kisses turned desperate, hands clutching like lifelines. "Will appeal," I whispered against his neck in the shadowed corner of the education block. This ain't the end, but endings have a way of sneaking up. It was laundry again, 2 weeks after David's arrival. Tensions simmered. Rumors flew about a fag and his spick getting too cozy. I brushed it off. Quentin had its code. Unwritten but ironclad. Then David cornered me by the dryers. Face twisted like he'd swallowed glass. "Ramirez. You're with him. Not a question." I straightened. Heat rising. "Yeah. Problem." He grabbed my arm. Gentle, but firm. "Sam. Listen. I heard things. From my block. The whites. They're talking. About teaching you a lesson. 4. You know, the air's sucked out. You know? Say it. David. For being gay." He winced. "For whatever. Point is, end it." Before they do, rage boiled over. "End it? Like you ended me? Fuck you. You don't get to play protector now." His grip tightened. "I'm trying to save you, like I should have back then." The shove came instinctive, my palms to his chest, sending him stumbling into a cart of linens. Alarms blared seconds later, guards swarming like hornets. We ended up in the hole, solitary. That black box where time stretches like taffy. 72 hours of nothing but my thoughts. Echoing off concrete, David's warning. Carlos's denial. The blade from weeks back. Was this the cycle? Betrayal breeding more betrayal? When they sprung us, the yard felt alien. Sun too bright. Carlos waited by the weights. Brow furrowed. What happened? Family drama. I wave it off. But his eyes searched mine, finding the lie. That night, lockdown whispers carried the news, a hit planned. Not on me, on Carlos. Make the fag watch his lover bleed. David's intel, twisted into threat. Panic clawed my gut. I cornered him in the mess. Tray slamming down. "This you're doing? Stirring shit to save me." "No. God. Sam. Then help. Really help. Talk to your connections." "Shut it down." He searched my face, something cracking behind his eyes. "All right. For you." The next days blurred, alliances forged in shadows. David's bartered favors with the old-timers. It worked, the whispers died. But trust? That was a casualty. Carlos pulled away, doubt seeding like weeds. "Your brother's poison," he said during rec. Voice laced with hurt. "He's why you're here. Ain't he?" Not all of it, but the words rang hollow. The past was a chain, linking us all. The climax hit like a California quake, unannounced, earth-shattering. It was visiting day, families trickling in like ghosts from another life. No one came for me, but Carlos had his sister, Rosa, a firecracker in a floral dress. We watched from afar, him through the glass, her pressing a hand to the divider like she could reach through. David appeared then. No visitors, just haunting the edges. Our eyes met, and he nodded toward the phone banks. "A truce?" I went, pulse thundering. "I lied," he said, receiver cold against my ear. "About the fight. It wasn't self-defense. My blood iced." "What?" "The guy in a bar. He was like you. Gay. Flirting. Or whatever. I lost it. Called him names. Swung first. He pulled the knife after. A pause. Heavy as fog. I shamed him. Sam. Just like I shamed you. And it killed him. The world tilted. All these years, David's rage wasn't protection. It was projection. A mirror he couldn't face. You're gay. Bye. Hell if I know. His voice broke. Raw. Been fighting it since the army. Showers. Barracks. I hated it. Hated you for making it real. Lisa knew. That's why she left. Understanding crashed like waves on the rocks. Fury. Sorrow. A twisted empathy. Why tell me now? Because in here, secrets kill. And I ain't losing you again. Tears blurred the plexiglass. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but a bridge. Rickety. Spanning the chasm. But bridges burn. That night, the hit came anyway. Botched intel. Or betrayal's echo. I was in my cell when shouts erupted down the block. Ramirez. Co-blue. Heart seizing. I banged on bars till guards dragged me to medical. Carlos lay pale on the gurney. Shank wound blooming red through bandages. Not fatal, the doc said he'd pull through, but his eyes, when they met mine, shattered. Your brother, he rasped. He set it up to separate us. No. God, no. But doubt poisoned the air. I confronted David in the holes and a chamber. Fistballed. Did you? His face crumpled. No. I swear I talked him down, but the evidence mounted. A guard's whisper. A contraband note in David's bunk. Paranoia or truth. In Quentin. Lines blur. The decision tore me. Report it. Risk the block's wrath. Ignore it. Lose Carlos forever. Sleepless. I penned letters. One to the warden. Anonymous tip. Another to Carlos. Pouring out the mess of love and lies. I choose you, I wrote. Always. Weeks dragged. Carlos healed. Transferred to protective custody. Safer. But a wall between us. David? Solitary again. For agitating. In the void. I faced the mirror. The boy David shamed. The man I'd become. Coming out hadn't freed me. Exposed the rot. But in that exposure, light crept in. Parole boards circled like vultures. Mine first, good behavior. The coming out, growth. Approved. 18 months early. Carlos's appeal followed. Bolstered by my testimony, he's more than his crime. He's human. We walked out together. 6 months apart. Into the Bay Area haze. David stayed another year. Then his own release. Letters came sporadic. Apologies scrawled in block letters. Hints of therapy. A quiet admission of pride flags in his new apartment. No grand reunion, but a nod across the divide. Carlos and I, we built slow, coffee in the mission, hands intertwined under cafe tables. The city humming forgiveness. No fairy tale, scars linger. Doubts whisper. But in the quiet, when fog lifts and stars prick the sky, I hold him and remember, love isn't absence of betrayal. It's choosing, every damn day, to rebuild. And somewhere, in Oakland sprawl, David chooses too. One brother at a time. The air outside San Quentin tasted like freedom laced with rust. Salty Bay breeze cutting through the diesel fumes of the shuttle bus that dumped me at the Oakland Greyhound station. I clutched my release papers like a talisman. The world too big and bright after years of razor-wire horizons. Carlos was still inside, his appeal grinding through the system like a rusted gear. But we promised, wait, build, believe. My first call was to a halfway house in West Oakland. A squat brick building called New Dawn that smelled of instant coffee and fresh starts. The counselor, a no-nonsense black woman named MS. Ellis, handed me a key and a job lead, stocking shelves at a corner bodega on Telegraph. Nights were the hardest. The cot creaked under me, echoes of cell doors slamming in my dreams. I'd wake sweating, reaching for Carlos's ghost, his laugh a phantom in the dark. Letters helped, his penned in that neat script, mine scribbled on napkins from late shifts. Miss your sketches, he'd write. Draw me the outside. So I did. The curve of Lake Merritt at dawn. Joggers blurring past like they owned eternity. David's shadow loomed. Even out here. A letter arrived week 2. Postmark Quentin. Sam, congrats on the street. Owe you that much. Don't write back if you don't want. Just know I'm sorry. Working on it. Therapy group's a bitch. But honest. D. I crumpled it. Tossed it in the trash. Then fished it out at midnight. Smoothing creases like wounds. Therapy. The army vet who'd shame me now unpacking his own closet. Irony bitter as black coffee. The bodega gig was mindless salvation. Cans aligned like soldiers. The hum of the cooler drowning thoughts. My boss. Mr. Patel. A Gujarati immigrant with a mustache like a broom and eyes that missed nothing. Clocked my jumpiness day 1. You fresh out? He asked, sliding me a samosa on the house. I nodded, bracing for judgment. Instead, good. Clean slate. No drama here, but drama finds you, especially when it's blood. It started with a face from the old life, Tommy Ruiz, a wiry Latino kid from my boosting days, now slinging Slurpees at the counter across the street. He spotted me restocking energy drinks, sauntered over with that cocky grin. Ace, no shit. Heard you ate concrete upstate. We bullshitted, him dodging juvie, me glossing prison like a bad vacation. Then, your bro. Man. David's out too? Nah. Wait, he's still inside. Right? Word on the vine is he flipped on some crew for a reduced sentence. My stomach nodded. Flipped? David. The loyalist. Ratting? It didn't track. But seeds of doubt sprout fast in fertile soil. I wrote Carlos that night. Heard whispers about D. Think he's playing angles? Miss you. S. Reply came slow. People change. Or they don't. Trust your gut. Love? C. Gut said poison. But hearts are messy, eh? Week 4. A collect call from Quentin, David's voice. Tinny through the line. Saw your name on the visitor's log. You came. Parole condition, I lied. Truth, curiosity, that treacherous itch. Family reconciliation bullshit. He chuckled. Dry. Fair. Look, when I get out, 3 months. Maybe I want to meet. Neutral ground. Coffee. No expectations. I hung up without promising. But the idea festered. A low-grade fever. MS. Ellis caught me staring at nothing during group. Spill. Samuel. Holding's heavier than carrying. So I did, the brother. The betrayal. The bomb he dropped in the hole. Group nodded. Share their own kin cuts. Dads who disowned. Sisters who stole inheritances. Forgiveness ain't for them, one vet grunted. It's for you. Lightens the load. Load lighten? Maybe. I started sketching again, David's face. Not as villain, but man, lines etched by war. Eyes haunted by mirrors. Sent one to Carlos, working on the portrait. You were right. Own it. Freedom's rhythm settled. Shifts blending into sunsets over the hills. AA meetings in church basements where stories swapped like trading cards. I even volunteered at a youth center, talking shop with at-risk kids, drawing, mostly, teaching them to capture chaos on paper. One boy, Jamal, all elbows and dreams, asked about my scars. Prison ink, I said. Reminders. Remind you of what? Fighting for air. He nodded, wise beyond 12. That night, I dreamed of the yard kiss, Carlos's warmth against chain-link chill. Woke aching, but resolved I'd build this life sturdy, roots deep. Then the quake, David's early release. Parole board took pity on his remorse, bumped him out in 8 weeks. The call came mid-shift. Bus pulls in tomorrow. Meet me. against every screaming instinct. I said yes. Greyhound lot at noon. The same station that spat me out. He stepped off looking like a specter, thinner, buzz cut grown out to unkempt waves. Duffel slung over one shoulder. No hug, just a nod. Coffee shop around the corner. We walked in silence. Oakland's pulse, horns blaring. Street vendors hawking tamales, mocking our awkward march. The diner was a throwback, vinyl booths. Jukebox crooning Motown. Black coffee steamed between us. Untouched. "You look good," he said, stirring sugar like it was absolution. "Clean. Program works." "You. Same. Group. Sponsor." Admitting shit's the hardest part. Pause. About what I said. "In the hole." "Don't." My voice edged sharp. "Not yet." He leaned back, deflated. "Fair. But Sam, there's more. The Army. It wasn't just showers. There's this guy in Kandahar. Medic. We got close. Too close. When he shipped out, I cracked. Started fights. Drank till black. Came home hating him. Hating me. Then you and Jake. It was like the universe laughing. I gripped the mug. Knuckles white. "So you lashed out. Made me the villain to play hero." "Yeah. Simple. Gutting. And it didn't fix a damn thing. Lost dad to the bottle. Mom to the pills. All 'cause I couldn't face my own mirror. Empathy warred with fury. Waves crashing. Eroding resolve. Why now? Why tell me? 'Cause you're out. Living. And I want that. But not without making it right." He slid a photo across. Him at a pride march. Last month. Sign reading ally in progress. Awkward smile. Rainbow pin on his flannel. I stared. Throat tight. Progress. That's something. We parted with numbers exchanged. No promises. Just possibility. That night, Carlos called, his own parole hearing crushed again. Voice cracking over the line. "Need you. Sammy. This place. It's eating me. I'm coming tomorrow. Every day till you're out." But doubt lingered. David's photo burning a hole in my wallet. Was this redemption? Or another layer of the con? Life accelerated. Bodega promoted me to assistant manager. Trust blooming like spring weeds. Jamal's drawings fill my walls. Bursts of color against beige despair. Dates with Carlos's letters turned fantasies. Picnics in Tilden Park. Hands free under oaks. David texted sporadic. Job hunting. Auto shop in Hayward. Then, heard about a queer youth group. Thinking of volunteering. Advice? I replied cautious. Start small. Listen more than talk. The misunderstanding brewed slow. A pot left too long on simmer. It boiled over at a family-style barbecue MS. Ellis hosted. New Dawn residents grilling burgers in a backyard oasis. String lights twinkling against dusk. I invited David. Testing waters. He showed, bearing potato salad and nerves. Chatting halting with the group. Vets swapped war stories. He fit. Almost. Then Tommy Ruiz crashed the gate. Half buzzed. Eyes glassy. Ace. Party without me. Laughter rippled. But his gaze snagged on David. No shit, the snitch. Whereas you flipped on the whole crew back in sack. Got your ass out early. The yard hushed. David's face drained. Fort pausing midair. That's not. Bullshit, Tommy snarled. My cousin did time with you. Said you named names for a deal. Real stand-up. My gut twisted. Echoes of the whole. Carlos's accusation. David, he stood. Slow. It ain't like that. I gave up dealers. Not brothers. Save lives, kids hooked on that poison. But doubt clouded eyes. Mine included. Tommy laughed. Cruel. Sure. Hero. Just like you save your fag brother. Huh. The word landed like the shank, slicing old wounds. David lunged, not at Tommy. But words, shut your mouth. He's my family. Fists clenched. But he held. Breaths ragged. MS. Ellis herded Tommy out, but damage stuck like grease. I drove David home in silence. His apartment, a sparse studio in Fruitvale, couch, TV, stack of self-help books. It's true, he said finally, slumping. The flip, but not betrayal. Those dealers? They preyed on runaways. Kids like we were. Sam. I couldn't. Not anymore. Understanding flickered. But trust? Shattered glass. You should have said. From jump. Scared you'd see me as weak. Again, I left shaking, fury at Tommy. At David. At the past's long fingers. Called Carlos at dawn. It's messy out here. Your brother. Our mess, he corrected. Voice steel. Hold the line. Love. For us. The line's fray. David's next text. Proud of you at the barbecue. Wish I could be that brave. Attached. A sketch I'd sent Carlos. Copied. Our yard kiss. Rendered in pencil. Stolen? Or tribute? The decision loomed. Cut him loose. Or pull him in. Group voted split. Forgive the flaw. Or guard the heart. Jamal. Overhearing. Family's family. Mr. Sam. Even cracked once. Cracked. But mending. I texted back. Braze a process. Join the youth group. I'll co-lead. Carlos's breakthrough came mid-fall. Appeal granted. Out in weeks. I met his bus. Heart pounding like wrecked yard drums. He stepped off. Duffel light. Smile cracking wide. We kissed unhurried. Station bustle fading to white noise. Home, he murmured against my lips. Home was the halfway house at first, double cot. Whispers in dark. Then a studio in the Temescal. Rent split. Walls papered in our art. Bridges. Brothers. Beginnings. David visited once. Awkward dinner. Takeout. Thai. Steaming on the coffee table. No deep dives. Just surface. Jobs. Weather. Jamal's latest masterpiece. But undercurrents pulled. Carlos tensed at David's name. Old wounds suppurating. He hurts you again. Sammy. He won't. Faith. Fragile as fog. The high tide of conflict crested at Thanksgiving. MS. Ellis's annual feast. Tables groaning under turkey and fixings. David brought Lisa. No. Wait. Not her. A date. Mark. Quiet engineer with kind eyes and a nervous laugh. Carlos choked on pie when intros hit. Brother's boyfriend, David said. Casual as pie crust. You? Carlos's voice. Edged. David shrugged. Labels whatever. He's good people. The table erupted, laughter masking shock. Toasts to new normals. But later, in the kitchen, Carlos cornered me. This a game? I'm playing straight edge to worm back in. No game. I pulled him close. Oven warm at our backs. Growth. Messy, but real. He searched my face. Softening. For you. Then. But slow. Slow we went. Group hikes in redwoods. David and Mark tagging along. Stories swapping like leaves. Betrayals unpacked. David's army medic. Ghost haunted. Carlos's road rage. A father's shadow. Me, the parking lot. Raw as fresh ink. Climax whispered in winter's chill. A call from Quentin. Old Gar buddy, your brother's in trouble. Assault charge inside. Snitch rep caught up. David? Again? Panic surged. I drove up alone. Visitation room sterile as surgery. He looked wrecked, lip split. Eyes swelling purple. Fight, he muttered. Some asshole mouthing off about. Us. Pride pins. I swung. Jesus. David. Why? 'Cause I'm done hiding. For you. For Mark. The truth landed soft. Not betrayal, but breakthrough. Guards confirmed self-defense. Reduced to warning. But the scare lingered. A reminder, chains don't snap clean. Back home, Carlos waited, arms open. Heard. You okay? We are. Kiss deep. Anchoring. Spring bloomed. Jamal's first art show. David's volunteer badge gleaming. No perfect bows, scars itch. Doubts murmur. But in the garden we planted, tiny plot behind the studio, tomatoes twisting towards sun, I see it growth. Gnarled but green. Humanity's in the tending, not the yield. And we tend, brothers and lovers, one dawn at a time. The redwood hike was supposed to be reset, a trail through Muir Woods. Ferns unfurling like green secrets underfoot. The air thick with pine and possibility. David and Mark led the pack. Their banter easy, Mark's tech gripes. David's shop tales. Carlos and I trailed, hands brushing trailside, his thumb tracing my knuckles like braille. This normal, he murmured, half joking. Brothers bonding without bloodshed? Miracle, I said, but truth hummed beneath, fragile, like the fog burning off the canopy. Jamal skipped ahead, sketchpad flapping, capturing light shafts spearing earth. Mister. Sam, look, it's like God's pencil. God or not. The day etched gold. Picnic spread on a fallen log, sandwiches, thermos coffee. Stories flowed freer than the creek nearby. David admitted his first crush, a neighborhood boy. Baseball mitts and stolen glances. Mark nodded, sharing his coming out at a family reunion. Aunt's pie flying in protest. Carlos laughed, rare and rich. My abuelita, she'd have blessed the pie first. Laughter bridged gaps, but bridges sway. Week later, the letter arrived, certified, from a lawyer in Sacramento. I slid it open at the bodega counter. Mr. Patel eyeing curious. Custody petition, Lisa, David's ex, suing for full rights to the kids, citing his criminal history and unstable lifestyle. Unstable? The word gutted. Prague March photo. Therapy logs. Mark's steady hand. All ammo twisted into threat. I called David mid-panic, his voice muffled over shop clang. Saw it. She's scared. Sam. Thinks prison rubs off. Scared or spiteful? Fury flared. Lisa. The woman who'd stood by during deployments. Now wielding divorce like a club. Both. But the kids. If I lose them, crack in the armor. Fight it, I said, echoing Carlos's steel. We will. Together. Carlos dove in, his sister's law firm. Pro bono angles. Group sessions turned strategy. Affidavits from MS. Ellis. Character refs from a youth center. David showed up raw. Kids' photos wallet-worn. Little Emma. Gap-toothed grin. Baby Theo. Chubby fists waving. They're why I quit drinking. Why Mark matters. Mark. Solid as sequoias. Cooked dinners, stir-fries, sizzling empathy. Parenting's war, he said one night. Plates cleared. You fight smart. Not hard. Smart men exposure. David speaking at the youth group. Voice steady on hiding's heavier than hell. Jamal beamed from front row. Fist bump after. But whispers followed. Tommy Ruiz's crew. Lingering shadows from Oakland's underbelly. A tire slashed on David's truck. Graffiti on his door. Snitch stays. Paranoia crept. Old prison habits. Locks double-checked. Alleys avoided. Carlos noticed. Pulling me onto the couch. His head on my chest. This dragging you back. Not back. Forward. But scared. He tilted up. Eyes fierce. Scared's okay. Means you care. Caring clashed at the hearing. Courthouse in Hayward. Fluorescent hum mocking gravity. Lisa sat prim. Lawyer sharp. Mr. Hayes's record speaks. Assault. Betrayal of associates. David's flip. Weaponized. He took the stand. Voice even. Betrayal? I turned and poisoned peddlers. Save kids from a life that nearly took me. Tears welled. Not show real. Rending. My past broke things. But I'm building. With family. With love. Love. The word hung. Mark's hand under the table, a silent vow. My testimony followed. David shamed me once. For being gay. But he owned it. Changed. That's more than most. Lisa's eyes met mine, hurt. Not hate. Cross-exam. You were in prison together. Birds of a feather. Brothers, I countered. Feathers and all. The judge ruled neutral. Joint custody. Supervised. David exhaled in the hall. Mark hugging fierce. Lisa lingered. Voice soft, for the kids. Not forgiveness. Understood. But as she walked. A nod. Thaw's first drip. Victory tasted bittersweet. Champagne flat, without triumph's edge. That night. Bonfire at new dawn. MS. Ellis's tradition. Flames dancing story skyward. David toasted. To feathers. And mending wings. Jamal added marshmallows. Gooey hope. But mending phrase. Spring rains brought floods. Literal. Gutters overflowing MacArthur Boulevard. Our studio basement pooling ankle deep. Carlos and I bailed water. Laughter bubbling absurd. David showed, unasked. Shop vac humming. Mark hauling sandbags. Family tax, he quipped. Tax turned toll when Carlos's past resurfaced. A letter from his victim's family. Parole protest. No remorse, it read. Monster walks free. He crumpled it. But I saw the fracture, hand shaking over takeout. You're not, I said, cupping his face. You're Carlos. My Carlos. He leaned in, kiss salt-edged. Some days, I don't believe it. Beliefs battle. We doubled therapy, couples now. Unpacking prison scars, my coming out shank. His denied hearings. David's group overlapped. One session. Paths crossed. Awkward hellos turned icebreakers. How's custody? Floods suck. Laughter cracked tension. Summer scorched. Youth center murals. Our hands paint splattered. Jamal's vision. Rainbow bridges over Oakland Hills. David co-led a workshop. Teens sketching secrets. One girl, shy as shadows, whispered to him, my dad's like you were. Hates my girlfriend. He knelt. Gentle. Tell him anyway. Truth's a seed. Grows weird, but grows. Watching. Pride swelled, brother redeemed. Not saint, but striver. Climax brewed in heat's haze. Tommy Ruiz. Ghost risen. Corner me post shift. Heard your bros playing house with that dude. Cute. But debts don't die. Eyes cold. Knuckles scarred. That flip cost my cousin time. Payback's fair. Threat hung. No bluff. I reported cops. Restraining order, but fear fermented. Told Carlos. Who paced, called David. This is mess too. David's truck idled outside at dusk. Mark shotgun. We face it. Together. Face we did. Neutral lot. Tommy's shadow lurking. Words first. It's done. Ruiz. Past. He sneered. Past? Your brother's why I'm broke. Snitched the supplier, my meal ticket. David stepped forward. Voice level. That supplier poisoned kids. Your cousin included. Walk away. Tommy. For real this time. Tension crackled. Fists itching. Then Jamal, zipped up on his bike. Oblivious. Mr. Sam. Forgot my sketch. Eyes wide at the standoff. But his presence? Diffuser. Tommy faltered, glanced at the kid, mirror of his younger self, and backed off. This ain't over. But tires squealed retreat. Aftermath. Hugs all around. Jamal, clueless hero. What's for dinner? Dinner was chaos. Pizza. Stories exaggerated for laughs. But later, Carlos and I alone. Balcony overlooking city lights. You chose us, he said. Over safe. Always. Kiss under stars. Electric. David's text next morn. Thanks. Oh, you. Again. Reply. Family tax. Pay in time. Time turned. Fall leaves carpeting paths. Custody weekends with Emma and Theo. David beaming dad mode. Lisa thawed further. Coffee meet. Kids giggling between. He's trying, she admitted. Our anniversary. 1 year free. Picnic by the lake. Carlos's ring. Simple band. Promise etched. Forever starts now. But forever tests. Winter whisper. David's shop laid off. Mark's job transfer to Seattle looming. Long distance, he asked over beers. Voice small. Possible, I said. But uproot. Decision loomed, theirs. Group weighed. Anchors or wings. MS. Ellis. Love's choice. Daily. He chose wings, Seattle. Visits promised. Goodbye barbecue. Tears masked in toasts. Not end, Mark said. Intermission. Airport drop. Hugs fierce. David's eyes wet. Proud. Little bro. Mutual. Carlos and I drove home silent. Then laughing, absurdity of it all. Bed that night, tangled. Whispers weaving dreams. Humanism's quiet. No grand cures. Just persistence. We persist, murals expanding. Youth thriving. Scars fading to stories. David calls weekly. Kids' voices piping. Uncle Sam, draw me a bridge. Bridges built. One line at a time. The Seattle move hit like autumn's first chill, crisp. Inevitable. Stripping leaves from branches you'd sworn were evergreen. David's truck vanished up I-5. Taillights fading into fog. Mark's hand waving from passenger seat like a flag of uncertain truce. Carlos and I stood in the drizzle. Coffee cups steaming solidarity. He'll be back, Carlos said. More hope than certainty. Brothers bounce. Bounce we did, into winter's grip. Holidays looming like uninvited ants. New Dawn's feast swelled. Mess. Ellis's turkey carved with flair. Jamal's table art, a turkey of construction paper and glitter. Empty chair where David sat last year ached. But we filled it with strays, a trans teen from the center. Shy smiles over pie. Carlos's family arrived. Rosa, boisterous, hauling tamales. Abuelita's ghost and recipes. Blessings murmured over flames. Your man's keeper, she whispered to me, eyeing Carlos's laugh. Keeper? More partner in crime. Our heists now grocery runs. Plotting murals under street lamp glow. But ghost gossip. January thawed a bomb. Tommy Ruiz arrested. Strung out on his own supply. Ratting chains that led to Quentin connections. David's name surfaced, old flip ties. Grudges thawed in court docs. Reporter called the bodega, Mr. Hayes, comment on your brother's informant past. Mr. Patel fielded. But poison spread. Text from youth parents. Is David safe around kids? Group whispers. Snitch stigma sticks. David drove down weekend after. Face gaunt as winter oaks. It's bullshit, he said over diner hash. That flip was years back. Clean now. Then why dredge? Carlos. Protective. Fork stabbing eggs. Cause grudges grow. Tommy's crew wants blood, mine. Or splash. Fear's familiar tang. Prison paranoia redux. I pushed. Lawyer up. Again. He nodded, but eyes distant. Mark's pressuring. Come clean fully. Or we pause. Pause. Code for fracture. The misunderstanding metastasized. Anonymous email to the youth center. David's Army discharge papers. Conduct unbecoming, redacted but screaming. Queerness. Implied. Parents pulled kids. Board called meeting. MS. Ellis defended. Man's human. Growth's messy. I testified raw. David shamed me for the same. Now he owns it. That's ARC. Not liability. Board voted retain. Narrow. But win. David showed gratitude, quiet, coffee run. Sketchpad gift. For the bridges. Bridges buckled elsewhere. Carlos's job. Mechanic at a green garage. Hit snag. Boss's son. Fresh from juvie. Eyeing him sidelong. Heard you killed a guy. Whispers from prison grapevine. Leaked. Carlos shrugged it off. But I saw erosion. Night staring ceiling. Fists clenched. It's always there. He confessed one storm-lashed eve. Rain lashing windows like accusations. The label. Monster. You're not. I pulled him close. Heart-hammering tandem. Prove it. Every day. Proof's proof. He mentored the boss's kid. Wrenches and talks. Turning sneer to nod. Thanks. Ramirez, the boy muttered. For not writing me off. Redemption ripples. Spring coaxed David Southmore, custody swaps. Mark's video calls, buffering distance. Emma's ballet recital. He teared up. Tiny tutu, twirling hope. Theo's first words, Unca D, over beers post-show. He admitted, missed this. Miss you all. Missed, I corrected. Come back. Working on it. Mark's open, remote for him. Shop Hunt for me. Hunt yielded. Oakland garage. Queer owned. Hiring vets. June move-in barbecue. Our backyard. Grill, smoking ribs. Jamal DJing hip-hop remixes. Mark fit seamless. Stories of Seattle rains mirroring our Bayside blues. Lisa even came. Theo on hip. Truce tentative as ceasefire. But climaxes creep. Not crash. July heat wave baked the city. Tempers simmering. Youth center picnic, Lake Merritt. Blanket spread. Kites dancing breeze. David volunteer grill. Apron-tied Johnny. Flipping burgers with flair. Tommy Shadow, absent. But echoes in a new face. Burly vet. Ex-Army. Sidling up with beer foam mustache. Ace, Kandahar, '09. David froze. Spatula midair. Yeah. You. Same unit. Heard you got the boot. 4. Extracurriculars. Smirk slimy. Eyes darting to Mark. Chatting with Rosa. Air thickened. Picnic hum fading. David's set jaw. Ancient history. Water under. Vet leaned in. Voice low venom. Water or blood? That medic, your little secret, didn't ship out. Hung himself. Locker note named names. Yours. World stuttered. David's face ashen. Burger charring forgotten. I caught fragments. Carlos herding kids away. MS. Ellis intercepting. David bolted to the lake's edge. Knees buckling. Wretch echoing over water. I followed. Heart leaden. David. He wiped mouth. Eyes wild. It's true. The note. I never told. Buried it. Sobs racked. Raw. He wrote my name. Said I made him feel wrong. I ran, fought. Drank, to forget. Then you. God. Sam. You were the echo. Betrayal's blade twisted, not mine, but shared wound. The medic's ghost. Haunting us both. You didn't kill him. Didn't save him either. Collapse. Head and hands. That's the shame. The real one. Mark arrived then, arms enveloping, whispers fierce. We face it. Together. Face we did, vet confronted. His tale unraveled, embellished grudge. Medic's death depression. Not David. But truth's shrapnel lingered. David confessed full, the affair, the fear, the flight. Group therapy swelled, couples now. Mark's patience anchor. Carlos and I weathered parallel. His victim's family reached out. Not protest, but dialogue. Coffee meet. Widow's eyes soft. Heard you're building. Wish he'd had that. Forgive, Carlos asked later. Voice small. Not yet. But understand? Yeah. Understanding's bomb. August cool, David's shop start. Steady hands under hoods. Youth Center mural unveiling. Bridge spanning lake. Figures hand in hand. Labels faded to colors. Jamal's plaque. To Samuel, teacher of truths. Truth tested final. David's custody hearing. Full custody bid. Lisa agreed, joint to solo. Her new life blooming. Courtroom tense. But testimony stacked, mine. Carlos's. Mark's flight south. David steady, Mark said. For them. For us. Judge granted. Full. With visits. David wept open. Kids hugging knees. Lisa's handshake post. You did it. Did. Fall painted gold. Thanksgiving redux. Table full. Emma's drawings. Theo's babble. Rose's toasts. David raised glass to echoes. And silencing them. Echoes quieted. Not gone. Winter whispered doubts. Mark's job wobbles. Carlos's nightmares. My sketches unfinished. But we gather bonfires, calls, choices. Humanity's end? No bow, no fade. Just dawn, light creeping, shadows shrinking. We wake, choose love, daily, fierce. And in that choosing, freedom real, ragged, ours.